legal problems for Iowa athletes seems to have dwindled in recent time. Every once in a while, you still get a big name on the Iowa athletics radar that gets cited for OWI or something of that nature during the offseason. And on Sunday, we got word, actually early Monday, we got word of a Sunday incident regarding an Iowa football wide receiver. It will affect his availability. We can be certain of that. We'll talk about the news in just a second. But as always, want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor. First of all, Iowa Floor Covering. Check out all of their products, tile, carpet, and more. Visit iowafloorcovering.com. They're located down in Bondurant. You can also give Tyler, Ryan, and the guys at IFC a call, 515-379-7000, 515-379-7000 for any flooring project you have around the corner. Also under the kitchen, Randy Engel down in Mitchellville. Check out his authentic Hawkeye artwork. He is working with a number of current and former Hawkeyes. Certainly check it out. Support the NIL cause of Iowa athletics. Also support this show by supporting our sponsors, including Randy Engel. Visit Under the Kitchen on Facebook. So the news that broke on Monday morning, Iowa football wide receiver Kaleb Brown has been cited and arrested for OWI along with a fake ID charge. I'm going to quote, first of all, what the University of Iowa released in a statement. I believe KCJJ Radio in Eastern Iowa had this story first, but this is according to the University of Iowa. Brown cited for violation. University of Iowa football student athlete Kaleb Brown was cited for operating while under the influence in Iowa City early Sunday morning. Brown is subject to established university protocol regarding the UI student athlete code of conduct and the rules and regulations set for members of the football program. Brown, a junior wide receiver from Chicago, caught 22 passes for 215 yards and a touchdown in 11 games last year for the Hawks. Now, here is some additional information courtesy of the Associated Press. Iowa receiver Kaleb Brown arrested for operating a vehicle while under the influence of alcohol and possessing a fake driver's license early Sunday. So it sounds like Iowa not honing in on the nature of that specific citation. Obviously, the OWI is more serious from a legal standpoint, but it is noteworthy that there was that additional charge, and perhaps the circumstances surrounding this arrest will prove to be some sort of a factor in how Kirk Ferentz decides to handle it as it relates to game day availability in the fall. We continue with the article. Iowa City Police said in a report that Brown, age 20, was seen driving in a heavily damaged SUV that had a wheel turned completely sideways. That's a quote. The report said Brown backed the vehicle onto a lawn and spun the tires. It said he had bloodshot, watery eyes, slurred speech, poor balance, and a strong odor of an ingested alcoholic beverage under his breath. He was in possession of a fake ID that showed an age over 21. Again, he's age 20, so slightly below the legal limit, but below it nonetheless. He refused to submit a breath test, according to police. He was jailed, later released. A public defender was being appointed to Brown according to an initial court appearance order. It was unclear Monday whether an attorney had actually been appointed at the publishing of this article. Iowa released this statement. He is subject to the university's code of conduct and team rules. Of course, did not specify a specific punishment. So what do we take from this? Beside the fact that, hey, sometimes college kids get in trouble, I'm not going to downplay the seriousness of what Kaleb Brown did. And he's certainly not the first. In fact, go back not that long ago, Jamari Harris during a recent offseason was cited for OWI. I'm a big fan of Jamari Harris. I think he's got a really good head on his shoulders. Sure, he's made some mistakes, has a really cool story, just a nice young man. And I have no question that Kaleb Brown is the same. Have heard nothing but good things about Kaleb's personality and certainly his character. However, this is still notable because in the past, Kirk Ferentz has typically suspended players that have been arrested for OWI for one game, one being Emir Smith-Marset. If you recall, he was suspended after an offseason OWI. Now, the circumstances surrounding Kaleb Brown's arrest are a little bit different. Possessed the fake ID. If he hit some other vehicle or property, that's obviously very serious. No reason to think he hit another individual, but I'm sure that the Iowa City Police are investigating the situation, so you probably won't hear what's going to happen with the availability of Kaleb Brown for a little bit. I doubt Iowa waits until media availability in July, and I'm guessing that Iowa will make some athletes available. Certainly not going to make Kaleb Brown available anytime soon, but it will be interesting to see when we get an announcement regarding his availability. But I think it's safe to say that at the very least, he's likely to be suspended for game 1 against Illinois State. Now, most people would say, well, big deal. He's going to be back game 2, big showdown against Iowa State. And that's true. I think the biggest thing I take away from this news, like it or not, how it's come about, it is an opportunity for some other receivers to potentially vie for his job. Now, look, I'm not trying to overreact. You may think I am, but as it relates to not being available for game 1, if a guy shows out in game 1, who's to say that he doesn't leapfrog Kaleb Brown? Do I think Kaleb Brown is head and shoulders above everybody else in that room? Not based on what I saw last season during the season. Now, I'm guessing he's going to be better. He's a year older, and certainly he's had a spring now with the Tim Lester system. But guys like Seth Anderson, guys like Caden Weegan, I know he's a walk-on, but it sounds like Lester and the staff are very high on Caden. You think about a guy like Jacob Gill, who transferred in recently from Northwestern. Have heard good things about his speed. He's a guy who might be able to take advantage of some opportunity here. And, hey, that's great. I think it's great for the program. It's not great that Kaleb Brown got picked up for OWI, don't get me wrong, but hopefully they see it as an opportunity to perhaps put their stamp on this season and on fall camp. I have no doubt he's going to participate as normal during fall camp. And could he miss 2 games? I guess it's possible, depending on the circumstances surrounding what happened prior to his interaction with Iowa City PD. But again, history would indicate that he's likely going to be suspended for that first game against Illinois State and then be back. So Seth Anderson, certainly Jacob Gill, certainly Caden Weegan, maybe even an Alec Wick, and some young receivers. Don't forget about the trio of freshmen that joined the program last year: Jarrett Bowie, Dayton Howard, Alex Moda. All those guys, a year older, had finally been through a spring. None of those guys enrolled early in 2023. So I have no reason to think Kaleb Brown won't bounce back from this, but hopefully other guys around him use it as an opportunity to where they look at this and say, hey, I had a chance because this receiver room hasn't been all that strong in recent time anyways, but now I got a real chance to not only make my mark during fall camp and during that game week practice leading up to game 1, but during that first game at Kinnick Stadium. If you show out in game 1, I can't imagine Kirk Ferentz is going to give the nod to a guy who made a pretty big mistake during the offseason, unless he's just, again, head and shoulders above everybody else. And I don't believe that to be the case. So, again, that's the latest. Kaleb Brown cited for OWI. We'll wait and see what happens from a legal standpoint. Also from Kirk Ferentz, discipline within the program. Some of that won't be public, but we'll know how long he's suspended for. I anticipate 1 game. Appreciate you tuning in for another edition. Please hit that like button on the way out, and we will talk to you next time.